The world believed that Europe would never see another war. But one morning, tanks crossed the borders. Missiles tore through the sky. And a country that many barely noticed on the map became the center of the world's attention. This is not just a war for land. It is a war of power, politics, and humanity. This is the Russia-Ukraine war. A conflict that changed the future of the 21st century. The world was still recovering from the pandemic. Economies were weak, people were rebuilding their lives. But an old tension between Russia and Ukraine was rising again. In 2014, Russia took control of Crimea. Separatist groups in eastern Ukraine became stronger. The world saw it as a regional conflict. But in reality, it was the beginning of something bigger. Year after year, the pressure increased. Until 2022 arrived. The year when silence finally exploded. The invasion begins. On February 24, 2022, Ukraine woke up to explosions in the sky. Russian tanks crossed the borders. Missiles hit cities, military bases, and airports. People who once left home for work or school were now rushing into bunkers and shelters. Russia believed the war would end in a few days. They expected Kiev to fall, the government to collapse, and Ukraine to surrender quickly. But that did not happen. Ukraine stood up, stronger than anyone expected. Ukrainian resistance. Ordinary citizens, young and old. Volunteers, police, engineers, everyone turned their homes and streets into defenses. President Volodymyr Zelensky, once a comedian and actor, now stood in the heart of a war zone, sending one message to the world. I am here. I am not leaving. That single sentence became the backbone of Ukraine's resistance. Global reaction. Soon the war was no longer between two countries. Western nations, including the US, Europe, and NATO, began supporting Ukraine with weapons, intelligence, and aid. But they avoided entering the battlefield directly. Because one wrong move could drag the entire world into World War III. The war had turned global, without becoming a global war. Turning points. Russia pushed hard. But Ukraine pushed back harder. Kiev was defended. Kherson was taken back. Russian forces suffered losses they did not expect. What was meant to be a quick invasion turned into a long, exhausting conflict. A war of attrition. A test of endurance on both sides. Human suffering. But in every war, the greatest suffering falls on civilians. Shattered buildings. Burned streets. Abandoned homes. These became the symbols of the conflict. Millions were forced to leave their homes. Mothers holding their children at train stations. Fathers staying behind to fight. Families torn apart by a war they never asked for. This was not just a battle for territory. It was a human tragedy. Global impact. The war shook the entire world. Gas prices soared. Oil markets panicked. Food shortages spread across continents. Europe faced an energy crisis. Russia was hit with the toughest sanctions in history. The war made one thing clear. No conflict is truly local. Its impact crosses oceans. The war today. Time moves forward. Yet the war continues. Frontlines shift. Cities fall and rise again. But the final outcome remains uncertain. Russia says they will not retreat. Ukraine says they will never give up their land. And the world waits, hoping the war will end before it grows even larger. This war is more than a military fight. It is a clash of two visions. Power versus freedom. Force versus resistance. History teaches us one thing. Power may break. But the desire for freedom never does. This is the Russia-Ukraine war. A conflict that will shape the world for generations to come.